Southern Oregon Sports Talk with Matt Bagley. Presented by Medford BMW on 96.1 580 The Game.
I hope everybody had a great night. I've had an interesting 24 hours. I got off the radio, and I had the Home Run Derby DVR'd because I was so excited to watch the Derby last night. And my fiance tapped me on the shoulder as soon as I got out of the studio and said, hey, we need to go to Lowe's. Because we're getting married in a week, and we're trying to plan a reception in our backyard. It's a logistical nightmare. Don't ask me any further details. Anyway, we go to Lowe's. Couldn't find what we needed. There's a Home Depot right down the street in Hillsboro near our house. Go there. Couldn't find what we needed. Leave frustrated. Come back home around 8:30. Replay the Home Run Derby. And mind you, my phone has been put on airplane mode. I'm not checking Twitter. I'm not reading Facebook. I don't want spoilers. We watch the entirety of the Home Run Derby, and I just stood there in awe watching Shohei Ohtani. I know he didn't win, but that was awesome. It was so fun to just take in. This guy that effortlessly can hit, 22, 23 home runs in 5 minutes? And sure, he looked tired, so maybe effortlessly isn't the best word, but the ability to just hit, the fury, the velocity of that ball coming off the bat, measured with just how effortless his swing looked. Sure, he looked exhausted afterwards, but in the moment, you think this guy is superhuman. And to think that in 27 minutes from now, 4:30 Pacific time, that guy who hit all those dingers last night and hit a bomb into the upper deck at what used to be Safeco in Seattle. I can never remember the name now. A guy that hit a bomb in Yankee Stadium reminiscent of the one Barry Bonds hit 2 decades ago. That guy is going to pitch 100-mile-an-hour fastballs to Fernando Tatis in 27 minutes. I can't believe that. That is an insane story to me. 541-630-4792. I want to know if you watched the Derby last night. I want to know if you watched Shohei Ohtani last night. And I want to know what you think about what he's doing for baseball right now. I'll present that topic a different way. I'll ask you this question. This is open-ended. You don't have to be a baseball fan to answer this one. Have a little fun here. I want to know, what was the first jersey you ever wore in your life? Who was it? What team? What player? And what was the significance to you? Were you a fan of them? Did you care about them? I think you were a fan of them, but I'm curious. 541-630-4792. Tell me the story behind the first jersey you ever wore. For me, the story goes like this. I was 6 years old. I grew up in a house where my dad was a diehard Raiders fan. Diehard. Before I was born, he was an L.A. Raiders season ticket holder. Then he moved to Reading, met my mom, they got married, they had me. And while he didn't live in Oakland when the Raiders moved to Oakland, he still was obsessed about Raider football. We would go to a game every year, and every other game he would have the tape being recorded in the VCR so he could play it as soon as he got out of church on Sundays. That was my dad growing up. That was the family I grew into. I'm 6 years old. It's my birthday, and I'm desperate for a Tim Brown jersey. But my parents were tight. And I don't mean like tight wad. That's not the reason I use that word. They were tight. They were strapped for cash. They did not have a lot of money laying around to give the 6-year-old a jersey that he's going to grow out of when you blink your eyes. So my mom sewed a jersey. She took a black T-shirt and stitched the letters Brown on the back in white. Brown, the name. And she stitched white numbers, 81, on the back. There was a plain black shirt with 81 on the back and brown at the top of the back. And I'm 6 years old. I probably could tell the difference. But I didn't care about the difference. I treated that shirt like it was a great jersey, like an authentic that you'd spend hundreds of dollars on. And I wore that jersey every week at school as much as I could. If it was in the closet, if it was clean, I was wearing it. If it was clean, I was wearing that jersey. And even if it wasn't clean, like on football game days, I'm going to find a way to wear that, right? Pee-wee football, intramural football, I'm wearing the Brown jersey. I loved Tim Brown. He was my favorite player growing up. And as much as I've enjoyed collecting other jerseys throughout the years, I have a Steph Curry Warriors jersey. I've got a ton of other Raider jerseys that I've got through the years. Eric Turner back in the day, rip in peace. Derek Carr, of course. I have a Sebastian Janikowski jersey. Don't ask me about that. And a Jamarcus jersey. Don't ask me about that one either. But the Tim Brown jersey is still probably my favorite that I ever had. Just because I loved watching him play that much. I want to hear from you. 541-630-4792. Your first jersey, was it your favorite player? Was it somebody that you loved and idolized growing up? That's my thought. That's my theory here. And I start the show there because I have to think after last night, there are a bunch of little kids across America and across the world that want Shohei Ohtani jerseys. This is the player who captivates a generation unlike anyone else in baseball in my lifetime. Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa ignited a passion for the game, but I think that passion was short-lived. The steroids era. As soon as we realized these guys were cheating, fans turned on them. Same goes for Barry. I grew up in Southern Oregon. That's A's and Giants country. A lot of A's and Giants fans in Southern Oregon. You guys know because you guys tell me every time I talk to you. I grew up with a diehard Giants fan in my friend group, and he loved Barry Bonds. The minute that Bonds came out and there were the accusations, he took this, he took that. His records are tainted. His records are dubious. That Barry Bonds fan, he became a great JT Snow and Jeff Kent fan. He found other players to love. He looked away from Barry because you couldn't trust Barry anymore. The steroids era guys were titans before the accusations became public, and once it all became out there, the steroids era guys couldn't pale to what Ohtani is now. I think we're looking at the biggest star in baseball since Hank Aaron or Willie Mays. I think we're looking at someone that will bring the casual fan to the home run derby of all events and the all-star game, which is the ultimate throwaway. I hate baseball's all-star game. I barely watch it. I'm DVRing it tonight. I want to see what Ohtani does. That's how special he is to me. That's how unbelievable it is that you have someone who can do what he does. I want to hear from you. Do you have a kid? Are they going to wear a Shohei Ohtani jersey? Let me know. 541-630-4792. We'll just take that question to its natural conclusion. Just go straight to the point. One more topic here to open the show. Team USA, they are struggling, and it's only going to get worse from here, unfortunately, as you have a matchup, I think, tonight with Argentina. Let me double-check that. Yeah, they are playing Argentina, like, right now. Wow, okay. Third exhibition game. Clearly, you can tell I'm gripped with knowledge about these guys, but what I do know is they lost for the second straight game last night. They lost a pair of exhibition games to kick off their tune-ups before they go to Tokyo. I want to know what you think about this. I said on the show last night, one loss, it was too soon to panic. Too early to panic. Two losses? That's a different story. And I think you can hear that story reflected in this exchange. Greg Popovich, head coach of this team, Spurs legend, he was asked a question by a reporter. the Dream Team and the Redeem Team and the 2016 team blew teams out. Why can't your team blow teams out? This is Greg Popovich dealing with that question.
Let me also answer that question. You know, you asked the same sort of question, the same family of question last time, where you assume things that are not true. When you just mentioned, you know, blowing these teams out, that's never happened. So I don't know where you get that. Can I finish? Can I finish? Can I finish my statement? Can I finish my statement?
You can finish your statement, Coach, but here's the reality. I think that it was a fair question to ask because those teams did blow their opponents out. Those teams did set a very high standard for American Olympic basketball. We have the best players in the world. We want the best team in the world, and we want to blow everybody out. That is the standard set by Team USA in Olympics past. So while I agree with Greg Popovich that it's an unfair standard, the Olympics are supposed to be hard, right? And the opponents are getting better every year. Greece has the Greek Freak and his brother. Argentina, we know they had Manu Ginobili in the previous generation. France has Nicolas Batum. They used to have Tony Parker. Germany used to have Dirk, right? Look at all the other countries in Europe. You've got places like Slovenia and Serbia and Bosnia that all can have incredible world-class players like Yusuf Nurkic or Nikola Jokic or Luka Doncic. It's fair to say that the reputation the United States has lived up to is an unrealistic one, but it's also fair to say that that's the reputation they've lived up to, and they should keep living up to it. Right now, it's too early to panic, but this team is not living up to their reputation. They aren't playing up to the level fans are accustomed to, and I think that's where frustration should be lobbied. It's way too early for me to say they won't take home the gold. It's way too early for me to say they won't medal, but we should be concerned because this team doesn't look like the 2016 or the Redeem or the Dream Team. They look like a completely different team in a completely different way. They just don't look good. 541-630-4792. I want your thoughts. Are you concerned that Team USA may not medal? Are you concerned that Damian Lillard and Kevin Durant and Draymond Green will get beat by Australia or Nigeria or others in the Olympics? Let me know. 541-630-4792. This is Southern Oregon Sports Talk, presented by Medford BMW. Yesterday, I talked about baseball's ratings boom. The numbers are up. The audience is back, and they might have brought a friend or two to the party. My theory behind that is that baseball was the beneficiary of something that every sport will benefit from. We're getting back to normal a little bit. Some of us got a normal life again. Let's talk about this topic. I want to hear from you. I want to know, what sport do you think will benefit the most from that normalcy? 541-630-4792. If fans are back in the stands and players are back in their old ways, who do you think benefits the most? Football, basketball, soccer, hockey, college football? Let me know. 541-630-4792. You control the conversation on Southern Oregon Sports Talk, presented by Medford BMW. 96.1, 580 The Game.
Hi, with Dusty from Dusty's Transmissions. As far as servicing a transmission, what should people do to help keep their transmissions from having problems?
Regularly servicing. I like to say about every 25,000 miles at a minimum. Fluid breaks down. Fluids are getting better than they ever were, but there still breaks down, and it's a good time to get it checked out before a major issue. You'd be surprised how many times we catch something early on, and it's nothing more than a solenoid or something inexpensive. But if you keep driving it, it's kind of like the dentist. fast. If you get a toothache and you ignore it, next thing you know, you got a root canal. But if you get in there early on, sometimes just a little bit of drilling, cleaning it up takes care of it. And cars are the same way.
You probably have, over the course of the years, gotten a lot of repeat customers.
Oh, yeah. We've got grandchildren coming in now from my original customers. And it's a family-owned business since 79, and that's the best part of the business. I got to say that. You know, the best part is the customers.
Dusty's Transmissions on Highway 99 between Pine Street and the high school.
Eating, working, living pain-free. These are a few of the things many of us take for granted. Yet for many United States military veterans, finding and affording oral health care is a challenge. Dental Lifeline Network is looking for dentists who can change this. Will you volunteer to help people like Richard, a U.S. naval veteran who suffered severe PTSD after his service? He was left homeless for a period of time, and his oral and overall health are suffering. Because of congressional limitations, the VA can't provide the dental help he needs. Through our Will You See One Vet program, we focus on helping U.S. military veterans like Richard. Now we are seeking more general dentists and specialists to donate treatment to at least one veteran with special needs. When you volunteer with DLN's program to see one vet, we handle the details so you can focus on the care. If you are a dentist or know a dentist, please share this message and help us make a difference in the life of a veteran in need. Visit willyouseeonevet.org to learn more. That's willyouseeonevet.org.
Make it a great day with DA.
How could you be so unprepared for that question? And then he just froze like a deer in the headlights. I can't for the life of me think or imagine why Garrett Cole was so ill-prepared to answer that question. He sounded like a complete and utter clown.
Weekday mornings, 3 to 7 on 96.1 580 The Game.
Dear John, I'm leaving. Uncontrolled high blood pressure is serious, and I can quit whenever I want. Why can't we get back to when you checked on me? I don't want to leave. But remember, when I quit, you quit. Sincerely, your heart.
Listen to your heart. Don't let it quit on you. High blood pressure can lead to a stroke, heart attack, or death. Get yours to a healthy range today. Find out how at heart.org/blood pressure. A message from the American Heart Association, the American Stroke Association, and the Ad Council.
Southern Oregon Sports Talk with Matt Bagley. Talking local sports. Weekdays 4 to 6 p.m. on 96.1 580 The Game.
What is the first jersey you ever wore? 541-630-4792. For me, it was a Tim Brown jersey. But I say jersey in air quotes because my parents were a little tight on cash, didn't have money at the time. 6th birthday, my mom came up with an ingenious idea. She stitched the name on the back and the number on the back on a black T-shirt. So I had my own Tim Brown Raiders jersey, 6 years old. I probably couldn't tell the difference, but even if I could, I was just so happy to have the darn thing. I wore it all the time. I think I wore that thing for years. Like, I vividly remember, I was just thinking about this yesterday when the question came to my mind. I vividly remember going to the 2000 AFC Championship game, Raiders and Ravens. My dad got seats in the upper deck of the Oakland Coliseum. We could barely see the field. We needed to bring each of us had a pair of goggles, right? We had our way of viewing things, and we were glued to the scoreboard the whole time, the binoculars, and we were glued to the scoreboard the whole time. Anyway, but I remember Dad had got the tickets from a friend who lived in the Bay Area who had 4 season tickets, and what he did is he sold us 2 of them. And we were tailgating with him before the game, and I remember he handed me an Eric Turner jersey. And this just goes to show how much I cared about the Tim Brown jersey that I had, the one that my mom made from scratch that wasn't a real jersey at all. I wore that Eric Turner jersey that day, and only that day, and promptly lost it. I feel bad about it. I feel so bad about that in hindsight, thinking about it. But it just hit me like, wow, you know. Anyway, kids can be funny that way. I had my hero, and I loved repping my hero every chance I got. So last night, as I'm watching Shohei Ohtani, it just strikes me how many little kids out there are telling their parents to buy them a Shohei Ohtani jersey, because that is the power he has. Unparalleled power in the game of baseball. And I'm not talking about home run power. I'm talking about star power. The ability to do what he does at the Derby and in less than 10 minutes step up on the mound and throw strikes against Fernando Tatis Jr. That is nuts. That is unparalleled star power in the game of baseball. He is a big draw, and I think he's a reason why ratings have gone up. But I'm curious to see if the ratings bump in baseball gets experienced by some of the other sports out there. I think it will. I think that the main reason baseball's ratings have risen in the past season is that the world of 2021, and tongue-tied, specifically the world of the summer 2021, is better than the world of the summer 2020. It's better than the world of the spring 2020, and better than the world of the winter of 2020 as well. Makes sense if you think about it. We have vaccines. Numbers are going down. There's a lot less panic. There's a lot less fear. There's a lot less trauma and stress. I don't have to fear for my life every time I go to the grocery store anymore. I can plan a vacation again. I'm taking a honeymoon middle of this month, going to San Diego with the love of my life. Can't wait for that. Going to see a baseball game or two and go to the museums down there, maybe go to the zoo as well, have some fun. Obviously hit up the beach just about every day I can possibly do that. You know, sunrise and sunset, you're going to find my feet in the sand somewhere. But my point is, it's a much more relaxed world with much more relaxed stakes than we had a year ago. And I think about how in last year, I think it was harder to justify just sitting on the couch and tuning everything out and watching sports. It was really hard to turn that part of your brain off that is afraid you're going to die. Well, now we don't have that part of our brain, not all of us anyway, telling us that we're going to die. I think it's easier for people to just relax and watch football or watch basketball or watch baseball. And so numbers are going up for baseball. That's a good thing. Those numbers are going to go up across the board, I think. I want to hear from you, 541-630-4792. If you take that idea one step further, I want to know your guess at, as the world returns to normal, what sport will benefit from that the most? What sport will benefit the most from normalcy? 541-630-4792. My instinct is college football. That's the immediate answer for me, because I think about how fans will be back in the stands at Autzen and Reeser. That means Oregon State gets a home field advantage. Oregon gets a home field advantage. I think about how College Game Day is going to have fans at 9 a.m. every Saturday. I think about how there are environments in college football that are impenetrable. You don't go to Baton Rouge and beat LSU. You don't go to Clemson and beat Clemson. You don't go into the swamp and beat the Gators. It's tough. Or look at Oregon. Look at Oregon. In the last 3 seasons, they've lost, what, twice at Autzen? One game, I think, was the game formerly known as the Civil War, unless that was at Reeser last year. I'm pretty sure it was at Autzen. And then the other game that comes to mind, this is the only home loss I can think of on the top of my head for the Ducks, is when Stanford came to town and terrible officiating had a 14-point swing. The Ducks were going in for a touchdown. I think they got it, but the officials didn't give it to them. Then they fumbled the ball, and Stanford takes it for the house, 14-point swing, Cardinal win that game in overtime. That's the last time I think the Ducks have been upset at Autzen. It's been at least 3 years. So you get that aspect of the sport back, that home field advantage. And the other thing, I think, is you get the pageantry back. I love going to NFL games. I've told you before, massive Raider fan. I love going to baseball games because it's a totally different vibe. I can have a beer and I can have a couple tacos and I can just chill and talk to my fiance and just relax and take in the moment, right? Neither of those sports have the energy of a college football game. They don't have marching bands. They don't have the mascot running around on the field tackling people. They don't have 100,000 people in a packed stadium next to you. Like if you go watch Notre Dame or Michigan or Ohio State or what used to be USC at the LA Coliseum before they changed that stadium capacity. It's a different environment. It's a different energy and a different intensity to the game that I think is going to be a lot better this year with a somewhat normal world. I think that college football, out of everything out there, is where you're going to see the biggest jump in ratings, the biggest jump in attendance, and the biggest jump in the energy and the intensity of fans out there living and breathing and caring about college football day in, day out. Baseball is getting the bump right now, but I think college football is going to see that bump tremendously this season. Looking at your text messages right now, you can chime in. You can join the conversation at 541-630-4792. Here's one. Quote, I wasn't a Jersey kid growing up, so my first one I purchased as an adult, Creamsicle Josh Freeman. And losing it is a good idea. That's a Bucks fan right there telling you, hey, I was all in on Josh Freeman and I regret it. I can sympathize with you because I have a Jamarcus Russell jersey, and I vividly remember believing with all my heart that that was going to be the great redeemer, the great franchise quarterback to carry my team out of the basement. I have another friend of mine that he has a old school Antoine Jameson Warriors jersey. You know, the ones from the We Believe era where it's navy blue with like the crimson and the orange. The Warriors kind of did a throwback of those this year. Not the best jerseys in the world. Not the best teams either. Those were atrocious Warriors teams. But I think of him every time somebody brings up a bad jersey because that's how much of a fan he was. The titles meant so much to him because he put through so many years of anguish and hardship. Finally saw a team turn around. I think about my father-in-law because he's a diehard Padres fan. He's got so many Padres jerseys of players you wouldn't even recognize. It meant so much to see that team reach the playoffs last year. Keep the bad jerseys because they remind you how far you've come. Randy Moss and Jamarcus Russell are sitting in my closet somewhere. I keep them because they remind me those weren't the best Raider memories. They weren't the best memories of my team as a sports fan. But when my team is good, I think about how far they've come. 541-630-4792. You can chime in. You can text. Join the conversation. I take phone calls from time to time. You can always try your luck there. Next, let's try this. Game 4 of the NBA Finals tomorrow night. I want to go over what each team needs to do to win. What does Phoenix need to do? What does Milwaukee need to do? And what is Shohei Ohtani going to do tonight in the All-Star game? We'll talk about all of that and more. Southern Oregon Sports Talk, presented by Medford BMW, right here on The Game.
The debate about sports specialization by high school athletes continues. Some argue that high school athletes who play one sport all year long have a better chance of landing a lucrative pro contract. But that's simply not true. In fact, 30 of the 32 first-round picks in last year's NFL draft played more than one sport in high school. Of the 32 players drafted, 22 also participated in high school track and field. 19 also played basketball. Some also played baseball and lacrosse. What's the path to success for high school athletes here in Oregon, no matter what their goals might be? Study hard. Always do your best. And if you can, play more than one sport in high school. This message presented by the Oregon School Activities Association and the Oregon Athletic Directors Association.
Jim Rome is on CBS Sports Radio.
The Phoenix Suns are good, really good, and extremely tough. They are built for this. Their offense is good, but they get after you on defense. They'll lock you up, and they will punish you in transition. I bring this up because the Suns were supposed to be a team that was inexperienced when it came to the playoffs. A team that was supposed to melt under all the pressure and expectation. They're that good, and they are that dangerous.
Weekdays, 9 a.m. to noon on 96.1 580 The Game.
Me, a cat, moving in with a new human. It took a little getting used to. She has these weird games she likes to play, like this giant feather. She sticks it in my face. I swat it away. She sticks it in my face. I swat it away. It's almost like she thinks I enjoy it. But seeing how much fun she gets out of it, well, I guess it makes it all worth it. Humans.
A person is the best thing to happen to a shelter pet. Be that person. Adopt. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the ShelterPetProject.org.
145 over 92.
180 over 111.
182 over 100. And I had a heart attack and a cardiac arrest. And then a stroke.
Your blood pressure numbers could change your life.
A lot of people don't understand, including myself, I didn't, now I do, the impact of having a stroke.
My memory is shot.
When I woke up, I couldn't speak.
Lowering your high blood pressure could save you from a heart attack or stroke. If you've stopped your treatment plan, restart it or talk to your doctor about creating one that works better for you. Start taking the right steps at manageyourbp.org.
It's a new life, but I'm going to make it better. Coming back. Ask your doctor, check your blood pressure.
Brought to you by the American Heart Association, American Medical Association, and the Ad Council.
Southern Oregon Sports Talk with Matt Bagley. Talking local sports. Weekdays 4 to 6 p.m. on 96.1 580 The Game.
541-630-4792 is my text line. Game 4 of the NBA Finals is tomorrow night. I want to go over what I think each team needs to do. First, I want to ask you that question. What do the Suns need to do, and what do the Bucks need to do if they're going to win Game 4 of the NBA Finals tomorrow night? 541-630-4792. What does each team need to do to win? Let me know what you think. I'll tell you what I think right now. Phoenix has a really interesting dilemma on their hands. Chris Paul is a superstar. Devin Booker is a superstar. And DeAndre Ayton, when he's not being carved open on defense, is a superstar. Those guys I'm okay with. They're fine just the way they are right now. But Milwaukee has figured out if they focus on Chris Paul and they focus on Devin Booker, and they take Ayton out of the game by attacking him defensively until he gets into foul trouble, Phoenix doesn't have an alternative. They don't get anything from the rest of their role players. Open shots, open looks, but Jay Crowder, Mikal Bridges, and Frank Kaminsky, among others, aren't hitting those looks. I think the number one thing Phoenix needs to do, if they want to take full control of this series by winning Game 4, the role players need to step up above their role. They need to hit those open looks. Jay Crowder, when teams are double-teaming Chris Paul or pressing him at the halfway line, and you set a screen, pop and hit a three. Mikal Bridges, Frank Kaminsky, when Devin Booker is hesitant to take that shot, or when Devin Booker is forcing a bad shot, Insist on getting the basketball. Get the rock. Do something with it instead. Right now, I see guys standing around. I see guys letting the superstars do all the work, and unfortunately, the superstars are overworked. Phoenix is going through cold spells offensively where they miss. Milwaukee snatched the board because they got Giannis. He's huge. And then they got Giannis. He's fast. He flies down the floor. He lays in or draws the foul. It's not winning basketball for the Suns. Winning basketball for them means their role players are hitting their shots. They need that desperately in Game 4. As for Milwaukee, and this is fun to me. This is really fun to me. The Bucks were so aggressive in Games 2 and 3. Giannis set the pace, and it was lightning quick. He flew down the floor. He drew fouls. He kicked out to teammates for open shots. I loved that tempo from Milwaukee. All I need to see from them is don't settle. Don't settle. My dad always tells a story about the chief investor of his software company. This is a guy who's been a family friend for decades. A self-made millionaire who is one of the smartest, wisest people that I know. And he's also well-traveled because he's a former Marine, among other things. And this is a guy that has told us this story before of he went to Africa on a church trip years ago. And he was just walking through, it wasn't a village, it wasn't a slum, but he was walking through like a city, I think, and an African guy just comes up to him and says, "Can I have that watch?" He asks for the watch on his wrist. Well, that was a nice watch. It was probably like a, multi-$1,000 Rolex, the kind of thing you'd wear like at a business meeting or something. And so this friend of my father's, his investor, had to say, "I'm sorry, I can't give you this watch. I just can't do that." And the guy goes, "Oh, no problem. No ask, no get." Verbatim. That's the way we tell the story. No ask, no get. Anyway, I think that is kind of the same way I view this Milwaukee series. Like, no ask, no get. Well, that means you got to just ask. Just try. Don't settle for jumpers in the mid-range. Don't settle for threes if you're Giannis or Brook Lopez and you're not going to hit that shot. I need to see Milwaukee lean on what they do best. Brook Lopez is too big for every Phoenix defender in this series. Giannis Antetokounmpo is too fast and too strong for every defender in this series. Don't settle. Don't just assume you're not going to get to the rim. No ask, no get. Get to the line. Ask yourself, can I do this? And try it. I think they should try it. I think they should keep attacking. And I think if they do that, they'll put pressure on Phoenix, and this series could even up 2 games apiece. I want to hear from you. What does each team need to do Game 4 of the finals tomorrow night? 541-630-4792. Let's talk home run derby. Shohei Ohtani doesn't win the derby, and I think on its face that's disappointing. You have to think that, hey, he was the number 1 seed in this and, home run leader in baseball right now. You have to think that this guy disappointed the world at the Derby last night. But if you watched him swing, I don't feel disappointed at all. I feel enthralled by what happened. And I think that it really put to bed any debate about who's the face of baseball right now. We heard that argument trotted out on First Take yesterday. Stephen A. Smith said, well, he doesn't speak English. I think he is the face of baseball, no matter if he speaks English, because he speaks home run. He speaks baseball. Jeff Passan said it this way on ESPN today. I want to share this audio with you. Jeff Passan.
Ohtani came to this country at 23 years old. He left behind his family.
I'm sorry.
Ohtani came to this country at 23 years old. He left behind his family He left behind his culture. He left behind his country. He left behind everything he knows to go and pursue the American dream. He wanted to come here and be great. And he is the sort of person who this show and who this network and who this country should embrace.
Yeah, he wanted to be great, and right now he is great. And does he win the home run derby? No. Is he going to smash the Bonds home run record for dingers in a season? Probably not. Is he going to at least crack the Roger Maris mark? Maybe. I think he's on pace. I think he's at least close to it. We could see 60. But I don't really think that matters. I think you're seeing a player who has Ruthian power and has a versatility that is comparable to Ruth as well. Someone we haven't seen in over 100 years. Someone that mystified baseball a century ago. And I think we're seeing all that again. And you can argue we're seeing someone better than that because Ruth played in an era where pitchers had a completely different baseball. Ruth played in an era where home runs weren't appreciated and weren't strategized. They weren't emphasized the way they were. Teams didn't care if they gave one up. At least you weren't stealing bases on them. That's how they viewed it. And Ruth played in an era, if we're being really frank, where all of the opposition was white. DiMaggio and Williams, same problem. Bonds and McGuire and Sosa, they played in an era with steroids. Rampant cheating. Hitters were juiced. Ohtani is doing something different. Hitters aren't juiced. Every race and creed and color can compete to the best of their ability. And everybody defends the long ball. They prevent the long ball with every fiber of their being. Do not let Shohei Ohtani hit a home run. Pitch away from Shohei Ohtani. Pitch low to Shohei Ohtani. Throw him these pitches that he can't take yard out. And he does it every time. Every time. Proves the world wrong. I think what he's doing right now is really special, regardless of what language he speaks. Last night was a great example. Doesn't even win the home run derby, and he's all I want to talk about today. 541-630-4792. I can't get over what Ken Griffey Jr. said last night. This guy is going to hit 20 dingers in the home run derby, and then a day later turn around, step to the mound, and throw the opening pitches of the All-Star game against Fernando Tatis Jr. What? Like, imagine Pedro Martinez or Madison Bumgarner doing that. Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Anyway, Oregon Public Broadcasting, OPB, has a story that I want to share with you. I'll do that next. We'll also talk about a great event coming to Southern Oregon tomorrow. And let's get into some college football recruiting. Oregon and Oregon State, they're doing pretty well. Why are they having success, and is it a recipe for success in the long run? We'll look at all that next. Southern Oregon Sports Talk, presented by Medford BMW on 96.1, 580 The Game.
If you're worried about your borderline blood pressure, hear how others are taking charge with Garlic Healthy Blood Pressure Formula.
Garlic works safely and naturally to support my blood pressure.
Garlic Healthy Blood Pressure Formula has a custom blend of garlic, vitamins, and minerals, so you know it works.
No garlic taste, no garlic breath.
Take charge of your blood pressure with Garlic Healthy Blood Pressure Formula. These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. The term natural references only the garlic in the product. Use as directed.
If you came across a child struggling with hunger, how would you recognize them? By their clothes, their age, the way they speak? Would you recognize a 13-year-old boy who gets into fights at school?
Not because he's a boy, but because he's hungry?
Or a 2-year-old girl who cries all night, not because she's sick,
but because she went to bed without enough to eat?
Or maybe a 9-year-old boy who hopes a friend invites him to a sleepover, not for fun, just so we can have dinner. Or a 15-year-old girl who goes for walks over lunch,
so her friends won't know she doesn't have anything to eat?
I am the 1 in 7 American children who struggle with hunger. Kids you pass by every day, but never knew were hungry. I am Child Hunger in America.
Hunger can be hard to recognize. Learn why at IamHungerInAmerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America, 200 food banks strong.
Opinions? Zach Gelb's got them.
Hearing Russell Wilson say that he never wanted to leave Seattle, that's like me saying, hey, I'm going on a diet. I don't want ice cream. But Ryan, if you're in an ice cream store and you see vanilla chocolate, Ben & Jerry's fish food, and then chocolate chip cookie dough, I don't want it because I'm trying to lose weight. But if you see those 4 ice creams, go ahead and bring them to the office and maybe we'll have a little ice cream party.
Weeknights at 6 on 96.1 580 The Game.
What are all the things you witness online in a day? Cats playing piano, selfies on your feed, your friend's picture being turned into a nasty meme that's been shared 50 times, 51, 52. When someone's being bullied online, it's hard to know what to do. Now you can speak up with the witness emoji. It looks like an eye in a speech bubble, and it's in the symbol section near the clocks in your phone. You'll let the world know it isn't cool, and you'll let your friend know you care. Learn more at eyewitnessbullying.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
The JR Sport Brief is on CBS Sports Radio.
I don't care if these players are out here cheating. I don't care if they look for a leg up. I expect it. With all of the money that's out there, all of the money that's potentially on the line, all of the money that they can go out and make, is it right for them to go out and cheat? No. Is it honorable? No. Do I fault any of them? No, I don't. It's something that I have accepted.
Weeknights at 7 on 96.1 580 The Game.
Can you feel it? Southern Oregon Sports Talk with Matt Bagley. Talking local sports. Weekdays 4 to 6 p.m. on 96.1 580 The Game.
541-630-4792. You can dial that number. Join the conversation. Southern Oregon Sports Talk. I want to talk about something going on tomorrow. The Jackson County Fair begins in earnest. Learn more at theexpo.com. That's at theexpo.com. You've got bull riding. You've got 3 different live music performances at the Bi-Mart Amphitheater. And you've got all the rides, all the food, all the fun that you used to have with your family growing up, going to the Jackson County Fair. Last year, they won a mulligan. This year, it's all back to normal. Jackson County Fair, tons of family fun. Learn more at theexpo.com. At theexpo.com. Oregon Public Broadcasting has a story out that I need to tell you about. The Blazers were less than honest with the public 2 weeks ago. Neil Olshey was in a press conference announcing the Blazers' coaching decision, hiring decision to coach Chauncey Billups. Goodness, I can't speak today. I'm a professional broadcaster. I'm sorry, America. His decision to hire Chauncey Billups to be the head coach of the Portland Trail Blazers. And Olshey was asked, what did the investigation into Billups' past entail? Because remember, the Blazers said they did an investigation into Chauncey Billups and a rape accusation from 1997. They said they did their homework. They did a thorough investigation, and in the words of Neil Olshey, quote, "You'll just have to take our word for it." Well, Oregon Public Broadcasting didn't take Neil Olshey's word for it, thankfully, and they did research. They reached out to the victims' attorneys. They reached out to the defendants' attorneys. They reached out to law enforcement in the county where the case was initially brought up. They reached out to all of the researchers that dug up what happened in the civil lawsuit that came out of this accusation, and they published their research today. They say that the Blazers did not contact the victims' attorneys. They say that the Blazers did not contact one of the defendants' attorneys. He's dead. They said that the Blazers did not contact the attorney general of the county, the chief prosecutor of the county that led the investigation and then pulled the investigation. Didn't talk to him either. So who did the Blazers speak to? Who did the Blazers talk to? If they didn't talk to the victim, and they didn't talk to who litigated the case, and they didn't talk to law enforcement, and they didn't talk to the lawyers involved working the case on either side, I have to assume the only person they talked to was Chauncey Billups. I have to assume the only person they talked to was Chauncey Billups. And that's not a proper investigation. That is asking Chauncey Billups what he says happened, taking his word for it, and now running him out to dry in front of the world because Neil O'Shea said, well, I did the research, we did the investigation, and this all happened, and this was what happened, and clearly he lied to the world. And so now what's going to happen is, let's say Chauncey Billups was being upfront with Neil O'Shea, no one will believe it. No one will believe it. And now Chauncey Billups will have an uphill climb. He can win over his locker room, and he can win a few games, but Blazers fans are going to distrust him and the organization that hired him from the onset. I don't think that's any way to lead a franchise. I think the Blazers royally screwed this up. If Neil O'Shea had answered that question in the press conference honestly and openly and said, here's our investigation, here's who we talked to, none of this would have happened. None of it would have happened. 541-630-4792. Let's talk baseball. All-Star game tonight. I've been saying this a lot lately, but I've got it DVR'd. I'm watching after the show. I hate when sporting events happen super early in the day. Maybe that's me being picky. Like, I know there's folks on the East Coast that always complain when the start time is too late, and I'm thinking, gosh, you know, why would you live out there? Why would you live out there if you can't watch Monday Night Football, and you can't watch Game 7 of the World Series, and you can't watch the NBA Finals? Because it's always past your kid's bedtime, right? It's always on a work night, and you got to go to work the next day. I don't know why anybody lives over there, and they complain about how you can't watch any sports at a reasonable hour. But then I'm sitting here on the West Coast, and it's a 7:30 first pitch back east. It's a 4:30 first pitch over here. I'm still working till 6. So I'm screwed if I want to watch the game live. I got to DVR it. Anyway, I've never been that big on the All-Star game anyway. I'll watch when Ohtani's hitting. I'll watch when Fernando Tatis is hitting. I want to see what they do. I want to see what, you know, some of the local kids do. That's about it for me. Let's talk about what's after the All-Star game. Because I hit on this yesterday. I think that there are going to be teams that climb up the standings in the second half of the year, and the Mariners are the number one team I'm eyeing for this. I love the youth that they have on their roster. I love that they're calling up all these guys out of the minor leagues. I think this is going to be a great second half of the season for Seattle, and I want to hear from you if you're as optimistic on the Mariners as I am. Do you think Seattle can rally in the AL West with that youth movement? How about Oakland? How about what the A's have done? They just surrendered the lead in the AL West. They've held it most of the year so far. I think the A's are still a really good team. You know, I love watching friend of the station, Seth Brown. We've had him on the show, North Medford alum, just like yours truly. He's an NAIA guy, went to, I believe, Lewis and Clark State in Idaho. I went to Oregon Tech. There's lots of like. Love seeing him hit home runs. Love seeing him have an impact in games. I think the A's are really deep. They don't have star power, but they have a versatility that can win them a few playoff series. We'll talk about all that next. Get into the Giants as well. And Team USA headed this way next.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting. A teenager. Learning the lingo.
Today I'm going to help parents translate teen slang. Now, when a teen says something is on fleek, it's exactly like saying, that's rad. It simply means that something is awesome or cool. Another one is totes. It's exactly like saying, totally, just shorter. As in, I totes love going to the mall with Becca. Another word you might hear is jelly. Jelly is a shorter, better way to say jealous. As in, Chloe, I am like so jelly of your unicorn phone case.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will think you're, rad just the same. To learn more, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
Man, I love my kids so much. I once sat for 3 hours in the cold rain to watch her soccer team lose by 18 goals.
I love my kids so much, I once used a tube to suck snot out of her stuffed nose at 3 a.m.
You win.
Love your kids? Love them enough to make sure they're in the right car seat. From toddlers to tweens, visit nhtsa.gov/the right seat to find the right seat for their age and size. Keep them safe. Visit nhtsa.gov/the right seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Make it a great day with DA.
How could you be so unprepared for that question? And then he just froze like a deer in the headlights. I can't for the life of me think or imagine why Garrett Cole was so ill-prepared to answer that question. He sounded like a complete and utter clown.
Weekday mornings, 3 to 7 on 96.1 580 The Game.
I was in the hospital with my son for 18 months.
When he got injured, I wasn't prepared, but I knew I had to be strong.
When I was told about John's injury, I was in complete shock. I just remember rushing into his room and giving him a big hug and letting him know I was there.
These veterans and families are just a few of the heroes we serve at Homes for Our Troops. For thousands of severely injured veterans, everyday life is filled with barriers.
It was really the little things throughout the house. Counters that you can't roll up to. I had to drag my wheelchair down steps.
I want to help, but he is so determined.
At Homes for Our Troops, we build specially adapted custom homes with features like wheelchair access, roll-in showers, and automatic door openers that allow them to function independently and focus on their recovery and family.
This house is freedom. It's hope. It's a new beginning.
This house has given me my family back.
To learn more, visit hfotusa.org.
People been saying to your friend, get a different face, and posting on their feed, they're super ugly. The things they say to them online are cruel and they're not true. So tell your friend, I'll stand up for you. Don't worry, I know what to do.
Know someone being bullied online? You can be a witness and make a difference by letting the world know it isn't cool and by letting your friend know you care. Learn more at eyewitnessbullying.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Jim Rome is on CBS Sports Radio.
The Phoenix Suns are good, really good, and extremely tough. They are built for this. Their offense is good, but they get after you on defense. They'll lock you up, and they will punish you in transition. I bring this up because the Suns were supposed to be a team that was inexperienced when it came to the playoffs. A team that was supposed to melt under all the pressure and expectation. They're that good, and they are that dangerous.
Weekdays, 9 a.m. to noon on 96.1 580 The Game. This is your home for the Beavers.
Hit high and deep to left field. Back goes Coleman. It's on its way. So long.
KTMT 580 AM and K241CA 96.1 FM Ashland.
Your teams.
It is Barner. It is Barner. And he's gone. The Beavers are the national champions.
Brandon, a three-pointer out front. Hit it! Yes, he did!
His take.
Here's what I think.
Matt Bagley.
I love covering high school football. And I remember one year in particular, I was covering a North Medford team that had a cheat code. They didn't have the best defense, didn't have the best passing game, but they were a competitive team. And it's because they had a cheat code, a human cheat code. They had a kid who was 6'6", 250 pounds, and fast. Cheat code.
Talking local sports.
I'm reminded of that young man after seeing what I saw from Seattle last night. With 20 seconds left, Russell Wilson just says, screw it. We got a guy that's bigger, faster, and better than everybody else. And he heaves a prayer for that guy. DK Metcalf is the Seahawks human cheat code.
Southern Oregon Sports Talk with Matt Bagley. Presented by Medford BMW on 96.1 580 The Game.
We talked about Team USA basketball last hour, 541-630-4792. I want to know if you're nervous about their shot at a gold medal. I want to know if you're nervous that they might not take a medal at the Olympics. Let me know. 541-630-4792. Is this a medal winner to you? Is this a gold medalist to you? I said after they lost to Nigeria, it was way too soon to panic. Don't panic after one game. That was the lesson I took away and what I tried to teach everybody last night. But then they went and lost to Australia, and they lost badly to Australia. The score line was close, but the defense and the chemistry ugly in that game. I came away very distrusting of Team USA. It's still too soon to panic, but it's fair to be nervous now. It's fair to distrust whether or not this team can take home the gold. I think you have some talented pieces. Damian Lillard, Kevin Durant. I like Bam Adebayo as a defender. I still am high on Draymond Green, even though he had some lapses last night. But ultimately, I think their cohesion as a team is still in question. I don't know if a backcourt of Bradley Beal and Damian Lillard is sound enough defensively. I don't know if Kevin Durant and Bam Adebayo can play together in the same system defensively. And I don't know if Draymond Green can play in a system without Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. I don't know. I don't know right now. And I don't know if Team USA can play without a good quality center for good measure. I just have a lot of questions about this team after their two losses. I will say they just beat Argentina today, so props there. They beat Argentina, and they got a big win over Argentina. But I don't think Argentina has the same caliber of roster as those other teams. Australia have some NBA dudes, and Nigeria have a couple NBA dudes. I think that what you're seeing from Team USA is a team that lacks chemistry and a team that does have some questions about the roster makeup. Can these guys play together? 1 and 2 through 3. We'll see if they can play together when these games actually count in 2 weeks. We're 53 days away from college football season. 53 days away. That's less than 2 months. I'm going to take my honeymoon after I get married. Going to be gone for a week. Can't wait for that. When I come back, it'll be August, and then it'll be fall camp. Might go down to Corvallis for that day. Might go to Eugene for the Ducks camp as well. And then you blink your eyes and the season will start. So 53 days away. I want to ask you, who do you think wins the quarterback battle in Corvallis? Because there will be a battle. We know this. I've covered Jonathan Smith his entire tenure at Oregon State now. I interviewed him his very first day of practice at fall camp, his first season with the Beavers, and I asked him, who are you looking for in a starting quarterback? Like, what traits need to stand out to you to name a guy the starter? Because we all expected him to name a starter, and he didn't. And the next fall camp, we all expected him to name a starter, and he didn't. And the next fall camp, we all expected him to name a starter, and he didn't. So this is now the fourth fall camp that is on the horizon for Oregon State. And they've got two guys who clearly are very, very close to each other. Tristan Gebbia, transfer from Nebraska, who played last year for the Beavs, and Sam Neuer, transfer from Colorado, coming back home to play for the Beavs. I think there's going to be a battle. And I want to know who wins that battle. I want your answer. 541-630-4792. And I'll tell you mine. I think the winner of that battle will be Tristan Gebbia, but I think it's going to be the closest competition he's had. I think that Gebbia does some good things. He's mobile, and I think he plays with a solid head on his shoulders. I don't see a lot of bad throws. I don't see a lot of bad mistakes. I just don't see a prototypical pocket passer. I don't see a guy that's going to throw for 300-plus yards and a couple of touchdowns, a guy that's going to hit deep bombs if a receiver gets good coverage. I don't see a guy that'll thread the needle on 3rd and long. I see a guy that generally makes plays with his legs. He's good on a bootleg. He's good with the screen game because he can get it out quick and safe. Again, good footwork to dodge pressure. And I see a guy that is amplified if he has a good team around him. All that goes to say, if Oregon State had a better option, I think they would take it. I think if they had a quarterback closer to what Jake Luton was for the Beavers 2 years ago, they would plug him in. And I think when the next generation at that Beaver depth chart step up, your Ben Gulbranson, a young redshirt quarterback, your Chance Nolan, JUCO transfer from last year, your Sam Vidlak, who, you know, I've been banging the drum on for 2 months. Dude can play and throw. He's only 18. He's got a whole time to grow and get better, but when he gets better, oh my goodness, you watch. I think he can start someday for the Beavs. When the competition gets tougher, I think that Tristan Gebbia will get passed up. And I think that right now I'm going to give Tristan Gebbia the benefit of a doubt and say that he's better than Sam Neuer coming in. But if we see that first week of camp, if we hear reports that Neuer is hitting his throws and we hear reports that Neuer is moving on the run and doing all the things that Gebbia can do along with the things that he can't do, I think you'll see Sam Neuer win that job. I'm going to say Tristan Gebbia right now. Give it a week into camp, and I'll change my pick. I'll say Sam Neuer, the transfer from Colorado. I'm just excited to see it. Because, again, every year Jonathan Smith plays this game with the media and with his team. He waits until the last possible minute to decide who will start as the starting quarterback of the Oregon State Beavers. And this year, I think he actually has a legitimate competition to work with. I think it's not a gimmick this year. It's not just his way of making his quarterback earn his trust. I think it's genuinely a question that he doesn't have an answer to, because these are two guys, one of which we know has limitations, but he doesn't have challenges. And the other guy, we just don't know what he brings to the table. We don't know what his limitations are right now. He's a mystery box. Once the Beavers figure that question out, I think their season is going to be really interesting. 541-630-4792. One more topic here. Let's go back to baseball, which I'm hitting hard tonight because it's the All-Star game. And I'm not watching it. I'm talking to you on the radio. But I wouldn't talk about it even if I was watching it, because I think there are better baseball topics to address at this midway point. Like, the All-Star game is fresh for an hour. I'm not going to talk about it tomorrow unless we get a repeat of that tie from when I was a kid. I'm not going to talk about it tomorrow unless they've got to cancel the game after 5 innings. I'm not going to talk about it tomorrow unless there's some gruesome injury that derails a player's career, knock on wood. It's only got a 1-day shelf life. It's just not talkable. But it's the midway point of the season which I think is talkable. So I mentioned how I'm high on the Mariners in the second half of the year. I'm less high on the Athletics because that division, it's tough. And I think that if one team is going to make a move up, Seattle, there has to be a move down by somebody. For me, that was the A's. I had to drop them a little bit in this. The NL West is equally fascinating because it's hard for me to say, well, one team is going to rise and everybody else is going to rise with them, because that's just not accurate. They play so many games against each other. With that in mind, I'm curious, out of the Giants, the Dodgers, and the Padres, who are you most confident in right now? There are very few games separating those teams. I think they're almost equally good. I'm double-checking this as we speak because it seems to tighten every day. Yeah, the Dodgers are 2 games back. The Padres are 6 games back. As long as San Diego gets another series against Dodger Blue, that'll change. You know, they swept them all season, it feels like. But you have 3 teams within 6 games of each other, 3 teams that can say they have some of the best records in baseball. Who are you most confident in? Who are you most certain of that they will win their division and make noise in the playoffs? For me, that's the Dodgers. For me, that's the team that won the NL West, won the National League, won the trophy, won the World Series, hoisted the title, and I know it was a shortened season. I get that. I have no doubt they would have been there in a full season. They were the most talented team in baseball, best hitting, best pitching, best defense. Dave Roberts got to cast all those demons aside about how he makes poor managerial decisions. I thought he was excellent in the World Series. I thought the Dodgers deserved that title. I trust the Dodgers out of those 3 teams, even though they haven't held the NL West lead all year. I trust the Dodgers. I trust the Dodgers more just because they've been there before, just because of what they showed last year, and because they're only 2 games off the pace this year. We have plenty of time for them to catch up. I trust them over San Francisco and San Diego, but I want to hear from you. 541-630-4792. Game 4 tomorrow night, NBA Finals. What does Phoenix need to do to win? We looked at one thing they should try. Here's another. Next on Southern Oregon Sports Talk, presented by Medford BMW. 96.1, 580 The Game.
Hi, with Dusty from Dusty's Transmissions. Dusty, how many years you been in business in the same location, Central Point?
Since 1979. Been quite a while.
Probably seen a whole lot of changes in transmissions in that amount of time.
You know, I can remember when the first solenoid came out, and back in the late 70s, we thought the world had come to an end. But they've come so far. We work now on hybrids. We work on CVTs. We work on them all, foreign and domestic. And I don't care what you go to, we're still going to have to transmit power, which is the reason the Dusties were staying up on it, because we could someday go to electric motors on each wheel. Who knows which way it's going to go? But I can guarantee you that as these change happens, Dusties is going to be on top of it.
Even the Jetsons car you'll be working on.
Well, you know, we may not be that far away.
Okay, so how do I find you?
Well, we're on Highway 99 in Central Point. We've got a whole block there between Laurel and Maple Street. And we're on the right-hand side, big blue building, hard to miss us. Got little Dusty with his thumbs up, about 10 feet tall on the side of the building.
As an organ donor, your story doesn't have to end. The good in you can live on. In fact, you could save up to 8 lives with your gifts. Your heart could keep beating. Your kidneys could keep filtering. And your intestines could keep on digesting for others. And that's not all. You can improve the lives of 50 more people as an eye and tissue donor, restoring sight and health. And you're not just helping out the person receiving the transplant. You're touching whole families with your life-saving gift. Register in minutes. Just go to organdonor.gov. You'll be happy you did. And just maybe, someone else will be happy too. Sign up today. Go to organdonor.gov. It saves lives. U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Health Resources and Services Administration.
There are many sounds in your daily life. Ones that make you smile. Ones that help you relax. And there are some sounds that can help save lives. Wireless emergency alerts, now on many mobile devices, use a unique sound and vibration to bring you critical information about emergencies in your area. With updates from local sources you know and trust, you can be in the know wherever you are. Learn more at ready.gov/alerts. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Zach Gelb is on CBS Sports Radio.
Justin Fields is the future of your franchise. Justin Fields has to be given a fair opportunity. And it's an absolute disgrace if Matt Nagy and Ryan Pace, whoever's making the decisions, tell us there's no competition and it's Andy Dalton no matter what. What's the gain from that whenever this podcast was taped to declare that Andy Dalton is your starting quarterback? Give Justin Fields a shot.
Weeknights at 6 on 96.1 580 The Game.
Southern Oregon Sports Talk with Matt Bagley. Talking local sports. Weekdays 4 to 6 p.m. on 96.1 580 The Game.
Do you like golf? If you live in the Rogue Valley and you like golf, you're certainly blessed because you have so many great courses out there and great events too. Like there's a North Medford golf fundraiser coming up to raise money for the North Medford Black Tornado football team. I want to let you know about this because I shared it on our Facebook page earlier today, facebook.com/961 The Game. And it goes like this. There is a 4-person scramble golf tournament at Stone Ridge Sunday, 9 in the morning. Check-in starts at 8. It's $100 per player, but that includes golf cart, your balls, a lunch, and awards for the winners. But you're not playing for that. You're playing as a fundraiser. You're playing to give money to a football team in Southern Oregon that helps high school kids learn all those valuable life lessons they get from being on a team together. This is a great opportunity. Teams must be submitted by Wednesday the 14th. That's tomorrow. Again, a 4-person scramble golf tournament fundraiser at Stone Ridge Golf Course. Funds benefiting the North Medford Black Tornado football program. I think that's really cool. I'm getting married on Sunday, so I'll be fully honest with you. I would be there golfing and supporting my alma mater and supporting great student athletes, their coaches, and their families if I wasn't getting married. It's going to be a great day for golf. It's going to be a great event. I hope they bring a lot of money. Hope they get a lot of money out of that. Game 4 tomorrow night, NBA Finals, Bucks and Suns. I talked about what each team needs to do. Now let's look at another thing that Phoenix could do, because I think they are in a lot more of a complicated space than Milwaukee. Milwaukee, it's pretty simple. Find Giannis, feed Giannis, and let Giannis get to the rim. Like if Giannis hits a 3, I'm going to call timeout and slap him. That's what I would do if I was Coach Buttonholzer. I would call a timeout, and I would say, Giannis, are you nuts? Don't shoot threes. Don't settle for jumpers. Don't settle in the mid-range. Get to the line, get to the rim, and wreak havoc. It's pretty simple for Milwaukee. It's not as simple for Phoenix. There's a couple of things, and one thing that I'd like to see is I'd like to see Devin Booker improve. We had a listener text about this yesterday, about how Booker couldn't hit shots in Game 3. And my theory goes like this. Sometimes a great shooter is streaky. You get a hot streak and a cold streak. You get in rhythm and you hit a bunch of shots and a bunch of floaters and a bunch of fadeaways and a couple of threes. And then you lose rhythm and you lose all those shots. And I can't pretend that I'm a guru. I'm not going to tell you that I know how to fix a shooter when they're in one of those down streaks. But I think the remedy for Phoenix is giving Devin Booker the basketball. What I've seen a lot in these playoffs is Chris Paul is the dude. Chris Paul takes over. When Chris Paul is on the floor, Chris Paul controls the basketball. And if you're the Milwaukee Bucks, defensively, that simplifies your approach. You know that Chris Paul is going to bring the ball up the floor every single time. And you know we need to pressure Chris Paul. We need to be aggressive on Chris Paul. We need to hurt him a little bit, get him out of his element a little bit. And what that does is, by trapping Chris Paul, I think Phoenix gets wedged into some sets on that opposite side of the floor away from Devin Booker. Remember, because they split Booker and Paul. Paul will be on the right, Booker will be on the left. Or Booker will be on the right, and Paul will be on the left. They don't play next to each other. There aren't a lot of moments in the game where those two are in tandem. So what I'd like to see is more pick and roll or pick and pop with Devin Booker and Chris Paul. Make the Bucks pay for pressing so hard on CP3 and find a way, I think a natural way, to get Devin Booker the basketball. Because if he gets in rhythm, if he gets the basketball in his hands and feels confident with the basketball in his hands, this is a guy that can take over a game. We saw that in the conference finals, game 1, without Chris Paul, and I think we'd see it in the NBA finals if they trusted anyone else but Chris Paul to handle that basketball. Devin Booker can play. Right now he's just playing poorly. I think the Suns can remedy what ails him if they just get him back in rhythm. Let him touch the ball. Let him work with screens with Chris Paul, and just trust that he'll figure out the rest. 541-630-4792. What do you think Phoenix needs to do tomorrow night? What do you think Milwaukee needs to do tomorrow night? Game 4 of the NBA Finals. I can't wait. This text is coming in. Hey, Devin Booker also broke his nose. That's been mentioned a few times, and I agree with you. I firmly agree with you. Broke his nose, probably doesn't help with shooting. Probably doesn't help with shooting. I think we can agree there. I know for me, if I broke my nose, I wouldn't be able to shoot either. I think the issue with the broken nose just speaks to toughness that you see from professional athletes. Like, it's easy for guys watching a game in a bar to feel like, oh, these guys are wimps and I could do that. Put me in, coach. The old Uncle Rico line from Napoleon Dynamite of, I could throw a football past these mountains. We all want to think like that, but reality is much, much more difficult, right? Like professional athletes, I think about how offensive linemen in the NFL routinely play through injuries because at the end of the year, we always find out, oh, yeah, sources say Rodney Hudson, all-pro center, is undergoing surgery. Or I remember vividly a few years back, Jared Valdir, who was, really hyped Pro Bowl lineman for my Raiders and some others. He had an injury. I think he was playing with a torn pectoral muscle in his chest. And nobody found out until the end of the season that this guy had a torn pec. Couldn't push off on edge rushers. We didn't know that. Nobody knew it until the end of the season. Stories like that come out every year in the NFL. In the NBA, you don't see that level of attrition, but I think you're seeing a glimpse of it right now where a great player has a broken nose, and now every time he drives into the lane, he's getting hit in the face, and it's messing up his shot. It's understandable. But I think that he can get back in rhythm if they give him the ball more. I'm reading some more of your texts here. Quote, some of you do not agree with me about the A's. Quote, the A's are a huge second-half team. They can get a solid closer and look out. I would love for that to be the case. I would love to see this team rally. I would love to see that team rally. I'm an A's fan. And I'm a Seth Brown fan. Like I said, I'm actually really close to buying a Seth Brown jersey. I'm really close to doing that. Like, I'm going to go see, I have no idea what I'm going to wear that day. I am going to go see the Padres play the A's 2 weeks from now on my honeymoon. Literally 2 weeks from now. And I've been thinking about it. Do I put on the brown? Do I put on my green and yellow? Because I got both. I'm the baseball bigamist. I have an AL team and an NL team because I grew up with the AL team, but my fiance, soon to be my wife, loves the NL team. So it is what it is, right? I'm debating buying a Seth Brown jersey because that's how much I really respect his game and respect where he comes from. The A's can turn it on. I really like their division, and I think that they've gotten really lucky in the first half of the year. This is a team that has had a couple of walk-offs and a team that has had some up and down performances in their bullpen, and some of those ups are a little fluky. I think that as the Astros kind of get their feet under them, they just took the lead in the AL West, and I think as the Mariners start to usher in that youthful core, all these guys getting called up from the minors that are really hyped and expected to do great things, I think that the AL West is going to be a tougher division, and I think Oakland is going to be at the wrong side of that. Those two teams will get better. I think they'll drop some games to them, and you'll see the A's really sink a little bit in the division standings. Doesn't mean that they can't get to the wild card, because that's baseball, 2 wild card teams. But I think the AL West might be out of their grasp right now. One last text let's get to here. Southern Oregon Sports Talk presented by Medford BMW. I was chiming in real quick about how I'm ticked off that the All-Star game is on East Coast time, 4:30 first pitch, and that's 7:30 back east. Makes up for the 9 o'clock NBA Finals or the, every weird Stanley Cup Finals are always on late. College football, if it's on the West Coast, it's on way too late. All of that stuff. Monday Night Football, can't watch it too late. Sunday Night Football, can't watch it too late. Somebody else mentioned, hey, can you imagine waiting until 1 in the afternoon for the first set of football games on Sunday? No, I cannot. I cannot. Now, I will say we have downsides to the 10 a.m. start here. Like, I like to have a couple of beers when I'm watching my NFL. And I'm not, going to preach to you. I'm not telling you that I'm an alcoholic and that you should be. That's not the point of this. But I do like saving a couple of beers for Sunday, grilling some food, and then watching football. And it's a little tough for me some Sundays because I also like to do my grocery shopping and get a few more errands done, check off the honey-do list so I don't feel that guilty sitting my butt on the couch for 9 hours watching football. It would be a little easier to do all of those things if kickoff wasn't till 1 o'clock. It would frustrate the heck out of me because kickoff wouldn't be till 1 o'clock, but I think it would be easier to do some of the things I like to do. I could fire up my grill at a reasonable hour. I could drink a couple of cold ones and not feel like I'm a deviant, right? Because I'm just getting hammered by 11:30. It would be a easier Sunday, and I'd never have to miss church. That's the other real advantage there, but. Some of us know that struggle. Some of us don't. Shohei Ohtani, home run derby. I'm talking your ears off. I'm sure of it, but I'm just thankful you're along for the ride. A very loose, very fun show tonight, and we'll keep that energy next. Home run derby reaction, all-star game reaction as well. Let's talk about Shohei Ohtani and what he's doing for baseball. Next, right here, Southern Oregon Sports Talk.
We've got inventory. You heard right. Hyundai has been able to keep up with production, and we're thrilled for our customers. We have over 60 new and used vehicles right now in Medford. Used trucks, SUVs, hatchbacks, sedans, and even a convertible. I'm Kyle Ellsworth, Hyundai sales manager, and here's a few highlights of our new selection. 6 new 21 Elantra sedans, 12 new 21 and 22 all-wheel drive Konas, the compact SUV that's sporty and fun. 12 new 2021 Hyundai Sonata sedans, all with 0% financing for 60 months. 17 new 2021 Santa Fe's, Hyundai's full-size SUV, and over 100 new vehicles on the way. All new Hyundais come with 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty. Stop by and see for yourself. Corner of Vilas Road and Crater Lake Highway, or visit us online at butlerhyundai.com.
2021 Hyundai Sonata. Financed through Hyundai Motor Finance HMF to qualified buyers. Minimum 720 credit score required. See dealer for details. Offer ends 8/2/21.
The Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council present the story of Cynthia and Ed.
My mother was always very active and independent, and she was familiar with her neighborhood. But one day, out of the blue, she stopped at the stop sign for much longer than usual. And she didn't know whether she should go forward or turn or just stay at the stop sign. She wasn't even really sure where she was at. She was very concerned. It was very unsettling for her.
It's important for you to talk to someone about it, to bring the family in on it. I felt so much better after my son told me, Mom, I don't want you to worry or be afraid. I'll be there for you and we'll figure it out.
When something feels different, it could be Alzheimer's. Now is the time to talk. Visit alz.org/ourstories to learn more. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
Come on, smile. Oh, honey, he's still not smiling.
Maybe he's not a smiler.
Yeah, maybe he's just not a happy baby.
Maybe he's just being a boy.
Or maybe he's teething.
Maybe it's just a phase.
Maybe he has autism, and we can definitely do something to help.
Maybe is all you need to find out more about autism. No big, joyful smiles by 6 months is one early sign. Learn the others at autismspeaks.org/signs. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
Strong takes. JR's got him.
The Dallas Mavericks need to get a secondary ball handler and scorer. Mark Cuban will do any and everything to win another championship. He already told Rick Carlisle, hey, I'm not getting rid of a coach just to get rid of a coach. Luka Doncic is 22 years old. He has a bright future in front of him, and all he needs, better teammates.
Weeknights at 7 on 96.1 580 The Game.
Can you feel it? Southern Oregon Sports Talk with Matt Bagley. Talking local sports. Weekdays 4 to 6 p.m. on 96.1 580 The Game.
I want to take you back to an interview on our airwaves last night. Amy Lawrence has control of the board from 11 p.m. to 3 a.m. overnight. And here's what her guest said. She interviewed Nelson Figueroa, former Major League Baseball player, and asked him about Shohei Ohtani. Here was his thoughts.
He has been flat out outstanding on both sides of the baseball, and he's just a joy to watch. And he's at first you kind of thought it was a gimmick, but this guy's the real deal. We haven't seen anything like this, and I dare to say before Babe Ruth, because Babe Ruth, you know, playing in a much different environment, much different baseballs and everything else, he wasn't seeing these 95, 96 mile an hour sliders and able to hit the ball 473 feet.
And I think that's the takeaway for me as well, and for a lot of us who have just become obsessed with this player in the past few weeks. It was Ruthian. That was the comparison, right? A hitter that can pitch. A hitter that can pitch. It's not Madison Bumgarner hitting 1 home run a season. It's a guy that can hit 20 or 30 dingers a season and strike a ton of people out in the process. We haven't seen that since Babe Ruth, and that was the selling point for Ohtani when he came into the league. That was fun on its own, but what we're seeing now is a whole nother level. A guy that isn't just capable of doing both of those things, but a guy that is capable of dominating at both of those things. Better than Babe Ruth, better than other great hitters, your Joe DiMaggios, your Ted Williamses, your Barry Bondses, better than some of the great pitchers just by default because of his ability to swing the bat. What we're seeing from Shohei Ohtani is arguably something we've never seen from a modern, and by modern I mean Babe Ruth and after, in Major League Baseball. You have to dig back into the 1800s to find a guy with this kind of versatility. And even then, I don't think that's a fair comparison either because of the level of competition today. I think what we are seeing is truly unparalleled. And I'm glued to my screen. I can't wait to see more. I'm not an Angels fan. I am a massive Shohei Ohtani fan. And it's at the point now where if he's playing on national TV, if I can watch it, I'm going to DVR it. And if I'm on MLB.TV looking for a game to watch, because I jump around on there, I'll watch the Padres games, I'll watch the A's games, but then if one of those end, I'm looking for what's next. Next up is always Ohtani. I'm always looking for the Angels game now because I got to see what he does. And it's because he does something I've never seen anyone else do. I want to hear from you. How are you taking in this sea change in the baseball world? Mike Trout was the greatest player in the game. The numbers backed that up. And now he's not even the greatest player on his own team. I think that's fair to say now. I'm curious what you think. 541-630-4792. Getting a lot of great messages today about baseball, about jerseys you wore growing up, about the good things about living on the West Coast. You know, my dad's talked about this for years. He hates the East Coast time zone. 1 p.m. football would be the death of him. If he had to wait until 1 o'clock, my dad would be doomed. He loves sitting on the couch and turning on Red Zone at 9:55, and you got the NFL Films music blaring in the background, and call in a pizza, pour yourself a little bit of whiskey, and just sit down and watch football all day. That's like his favorite Sunday right there in a nutshell. It's a shame we're not going to have that this Sunday. Family coming up because I'm getting married this Sunday. My dad is excited because he gets to take lead on the bachelor party the night before. And it's only a shame that my dad's up here and we can't watch a football game together. But, there's other perks of being on the West Coast. I was thinking about this on the break. I was thinking about how we have the best food. We have the best food. Like, if I want a great burrito, there's a taco truck right down the street. If I want a great burger, I can go get it. Find Italian food, I can go get that. Tons of great pizza on the West Coast. You know, I read an article, and I don't believe it. I don't believe the headline. I've lived up here for a year and spent plenty of time up here in the past because my fiance lived up here. We had a distance relationship. Obviously, I'd spent a ton of time here for work over the years. But I read a headline that said Portland had the best pizza in America, that it was America's best pizza city. I roll my eyes at that. That's clearly not true. But it's not far from the truth. Like, Portland has a really versatile offering. You can get the thin style. You can get the deep dish. You can get Detroit style, which I love. That might be my favorite of the whole offering. And then you get everything in between. You get places that are really fancy, and you get places that are not fancy, just simple, just no frills, all pizza, all fun. There's a lot of good food on the West Coast. Go to Seattle, you get world-class sushi. You go to San Francisco, and it's everything, all the fine dining, the steak houses, the ramen houses, everything. Go to L.A. and it's Korean food and Mexican food. Go to San Diego, like I'm going for my honeymoon, and our food budget for that trip is really easy. We don't have to do any fine dining. We don't have to do any candlelit dinners because nothing is going to beat little hole-in-the-wall Mexican taco stands right on the beach. It's incredible. It's the best food on the planet, all on the West Coast. So there's a lot of perks to living over here. And you get football at 10 in the morning on Sundays. That's pretty good, too. I could not imagine living without that. Team USA basketball is 1-2. They beat Argentina today. They lost to Australia last night, lost to Nigeria in an upset for the ages this past weekend. I've got one more thought on what's gone wrong and what they can do to fix that next. Plus, we'll talk a little NFL. I got a Tom Brady story to revisit for you. And we looked at what Phoenix needs to do tomorrow night. Now let's address the last fixes for the Milwaukee Bucks. How do they even up this series at 2? That's headed your way next. Southern Oregon Sports Talk, presented by Medford BMW. Tongue-tied, but I'm still talking, and I will talk more next on 96.1, 580 The Game.
Ranger Station, Ranger speaking.
Hi. I'd like to report a bear hug.
Okay.
Well, before I left my campsite, I was putting out my fire, and out of nowhere, Smokey Bear showed up and hugged me?
So you drowned the fire, you stirred it, drowned it again, and felt that it was cold?
Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah. He likes it when people correctly put out their campfires. He's pretty big on wildfire prevention. He's just letting you know you did good with a hug. He's a hugger.
I just got a bear hug from Smokey Bear. Status update.
All right, I'm going to let you go now. I've got a lot of ranger stuff to do. There are many ways to start a fire, but one sure way to put it out. Learn how you can do your part at SmokeyBear.com.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Sponsored by the U.S. Forest Service Ad Council and your state forester.
Who do I play high school softball for? I play for my mom and dad who've never missed a game.
Whether they're playing for their teammates, their classmates, or their community, high school student athletes in Oregon learn important lessons they'll use for the rest of their lives, like respect for the rules and the value of hard work and sacrifice. This message presented by the Oregon School Activities Association and the Oregon Athletic Directors Association.
The DA Show, mornings on CBS Sports Radio.
Aaron Rodgers, he's being a bleep, which is, I'm having fun at your expense. And okay, Rodgers might feel as though he's been done wrong, but now you have a fan base that is hanging on everything and hoping that you will come back, and you are just playing a fiddle, whistling all along.
Weekday mornings, 3 to 7 on 96.1, 580 The Game.
Listen, my life changed because someone was there to get me to use drugs. No one can understand. Whether or not they've struggled with addiction themselves, people seem to think that having someone who will listen is gonna help make it better. I'm realizing that I need help.
I'm listening.
I need help. I'm realizing that I think that having someone who will listen is going to help make it better. Whether or not they've struggled with addiction themselves, people seem to understand. No one can get me to use drugs. My life changed because someone was there to listen.
1 in 7 Americans will struggle with addiction during their lifetime. Want to know how you can help? Go to heretolisten.com for tips and tools to help turn addiction around. A public service announcement brought to you by the Ad Council.
Southern Oregon Sports Talk with Matt Bagley. Talking local sports. Weekdays 4 to 6 p.m. on 96.1, 580 The Game.
I think it's too soon to panic about Team USA basketball, but you can be nervous. They lose their first 2 exhibitions. They win today against a pretty weak Argentina side. I need to see more. I need to see an improved team defense. Last night, the Australia game, I didn't watch it live. I was watching the Home Run Derby. I caught a recording of the game. I watched it through this morning. There were 3 plays that really just were stuck in my brain. There's one defensive set where Damian Lillard doesn't track back across the floor after he gets a dunk attempt blocked, and the Aussies hit a 3. There's another play where Draymond Green got beat by a crossover, and Bam Adebayo is supposed to come in and help him, but he doesn't, and the Aussies get a dunk. Then there was this play where Zach LaVine, who is young and talented, guy has been in dunk contests and makes a lot of money in the league as a dunker and a three-point shooter, really capable guard. He got lost at the three-point line, and the Aussies did this, a buzzer-beating 3 to end the third quarter.
Ingles to Goulding to beat the buzzer, and he does! Chris Goulding has put Australia up 5, heading into the fourth. Wow!
When you get lost at the three-point line and you don't track back on defense and you don't come in to help on defense, your defense will get shredded. That's what happened to Team USA last night. That's what's happened to Team USA through the first 3 games, even with that win over Argentina today. And I think that's the question for Team USA going forward into the Olympics. If this team wins the gold medal, they'll need to fix their defense. Can they do it? Can they play better team defense? Can they play better team defense? If they can, that's a gold medal team. If they can't, they might not medal at all. They might not medal at all. Because I mentioned this at the start of the show. Bradley Beal and Damian Lillard, great shooters. I wouldn't call either of them great defenders. Kevin Durant and Bam Adebayo, great defenders individually, but I think they do 2 of the same role on a team defense. I don't know how they fit together. Draymond Green, I think he's great in the Warriors system. I don't know how he fits in this system. There's questions about this team's ability as a team defense to keep points off the board. They couldn't do it against Nigeria. They couldn't do it last night against Australia. There's going to be tougher tests in the Olympics. I don't know if they're going to get the gold medal. I just don't know right now. 541-630-4792. NBA basketball. Let's talk about that for a few here. Game 4 tomorrow night, Bucks and Suns. I've really enjoyed this series. The narrative going in, I think a lot of people said that Phoenix would run away with it. And I understand why people would say that, because I've fallen in love with that Phoenix team, just like everybody else. They play a really fun brand of basketball. They share the basketball. They take chances. They make the extra pass. They take the extra shot, right? There's some fun in how they play. They don't slow things down and drag things down and isolate like Brooklyn did, or isolate the way that the Blazers have done at times in the years past. This team was really, really fluid and fun. And it's understandable to me why everybody in the world picked Phoenix to steamroll in this series. But now that we know Giannis can play in this series, and now that we've seen Giannis play well in this series, I think we need to reevaluate things. Not that Phoenix won't win. I still have Suns in 6. But I think this series is going to be a tough 6 games. I think that this series could go down to the wire. Could be 7 games. And I love that. I think we needed a series like that in the finals. After last year, where it just felt a given, LeBron and AD and Dwight Howard were going to win it. or the Warriors doing that for so many years, or the Cavaliers doing it, or, you just have so many examples of the NBA Finals being like a heavyweight title fight where one guy goes in with the belt and he leaves with the belt and nobody really challenges him. This feels different to me. This is two teams that are pretty evenly matched. Milwaukee's defense is living up to their name. Phoenix's offense has had good nights. Games 1 and 2, they were phenomenal. Game 3, they were really flummoxed. I want to see Game 4, and I want to see what Milwaukee does to win Game 4, because I think they have several key advantages in this series. I think that the Bucks have a big man who is too big, Brook Lopez, too big for Phoenix to cover. They don't have anyone with the height to track him down except for DeAndre Ayton. We'll talk about him in a minute. And the other advantage that Milwaukee has is Giannis Antetokounmpo is too fast for guys like DeAndre Ayton. So what Milwaukee did in Game 3 that I thought was really, really wise is they would spell Giannis with Brook Lopez. They would let Brook Lopez sit on the bench, get some time off, get some rest, and they would have Giannis attack DeAndre Ayton so that Ayton had foul trouble and he couldn't be on the floor. What that then allowed was they could bring Brook Lopez back into the game, and Brook Lopez could eat on Jay Crowder and Frank Kaminsky and the guys Milwaukee had defending them that just couldn't handle those two bigs. Milwaukee got big. They played tall ball, bully ball in this series, and it won them Game 3. I think that if they come out with that approach again, Game 4, they can even up the series. The problems, of course, are there's some nuance to that approach. You've got to get DeAndre Ayton in foul trouble, and if you're Giannis Antetokounmpo and you're drawing a lot of fouls, you've got to make those fouls into points. You got to hit your free throws. The advantages are there. They just need to exploit them. Giannis is too fast. Brook Lopez is too big. All they got to do is hit their free throws, and that team will even up the series, 2 games apiece. I like Phoenix. I like Phoenix in this series. It's going to be a close series and a really fun Game 4. 541-630-4792. I got 2 minutes left. More NL West thoughts. I'm confident about the Dodgers at the midway point. I think that they can take the lead in that NL West division. I also just need to say how much fun it is to have a young Giants team whose management doesn't cost them games. Gabe Kapler is the favorite right now for Manager of the Year. Can't believe I'm saying that. And a young Padres team that is equally fun. Did you see Fernando Tatis last night at the Home Run Derby? Did you see how much fun he was having? His son was there. Manny Machado was there. And everybody was just partying. I love that about baseball. I love that you can have a all-star game festivity in the middle of the season. And unlike the NBA, where it's a walkthrough, or the NFL, where everybody opts out and they don't even take part, the MLB All-Star Game and the Home Run Derby that preceded it are pretty serious in the players' eyes. They took it really seriously last night. They had a lot of fun. They really soaked it in. It was like a holiday for everybody there. I loved that. And I love that you have players like Fernando Tatis, who clearly cherished just taking that moment in last night, that you have players like him on a team like the Padres who are loaded with talent, and they aren't even the best team in their own division. Baseball has a lot going for it this season, and I think he's one key thing as a part of that formula. I think you have this gifted young generation of superstars that if MLB just lets them have fun night in, night out, baseball is going to be just fine in the long run. 53 days till college football season. Let's end the show on this note. We got less than 2 months until the games are played. I wanted to get to this question earlier. I'll ask it to you now. Duck fans, do you trust Anthony Brown, starting quarterback, transfer from Boston College, the savior in the Pac-12 title game, and the GOAT in the Fiesta Bowl? Do you trust him to carry Oregon to the college football playoff? We'll address that question on tomorrow's show, 4 to 6. Also going to talk with Ryan Buchanan, talk NBA Finals, and a whole lot more right here.